Hello, Laura Schwam here with my Psychic Soul Healing Oracle system. And I have some guided messages for healing trauma. This is a general reading, so if it doesn't fit, please do not force it. It may resonate with you, it may not. If it does resonate with you and you want a personal psychic soul reading, my website and contact information is in the description box down below. This is a timeless reading, which means when you see it is when you're supposed to, though the intention is for the upcoming month. Welcome to the Psychic Soul Healing Oracle channel. For those of you that are new, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Leave a like, comment down below. Any information you guys need about the channel, of course, it is only in the description box, such as how to book a personal psychic soul reading, how to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and any other platform, and how to get your psychic soul healing merchandise. All that goodness is there for you. Now, I just wanted to share that this channel is mainly is mainly for healing the effects of psychological trauma. It can tell about future outcomes, but that's not the focal point. The focal point is helping people heal the effects of, again, psychological trauma by understanding what their shadows are, what their spiritual blocks are that block them from manifesting good health sometimes, financial wealth, and all around emotional fulfillment within their relationships. So the readings tell people again what their spiritual blocks are and then what they need to do to heal themselves so they can again create their own heaven on earth, if you will. Now, I do these readings to help people heal from trauma. I want to talk about releasing the trauma so you can move forward in your life. It is really important to know that everyone has trauma, regardless of how spiritual you are. Everybody has trauma because trauma is the way that we grow our consciousness. And we do so because once we understand what the trauma is and we integrate the spiritual lesson that the trauma really is creating, we see a different outcome of ourselves. We are able to expand consciousness. But the problem is we get stuck in the trauma. And when we get stuck in our trauma, we wound up carrying that energy vibration with us. And then we become a magnet to more of the same energies. So, like I said, it's really important to know that everybody has some sort of trauma in their life. And that if we do not release our trauma, then it manifests in our life as undesirable life experiences, physical illness, and actually it it's almost like we have pockets of this energy, stagnant energy held within our energetic field. And we have to realize that the way that we manifest our life and our life experiences is through the thoughts that we think and the energy that we are holding. So, the energy, the emotional energy from the traumas, a lot of times is what creates more of the same experiences to come back into our life over and over again until we actually can learn the lesson, because really that's the only way that a spiritual trauma is healed. A spiritual trauma, again, a psychological trauma, which is the same as a spiritual trauma, can only be healed through seeing a different perception of your situation or yourself. And that's through integrating the spiritual lesson. And so we're going to talk about that. So today I chose a spread for looking at the trauma between you and your person. Because what better way does our trauma show up than within our relationships, right? When we get triggered, emotionally triggered. And a lot of times we feel that we've met the person of our life, again, our soul mate, our soul relationship. And the relationship is a good relationship. But then as we get deeper and deeper into the relationship, further along, I should say, into the relationship, we start seeing things. And mainly we start seeing things because the honeymoon phase is over and we begin to see different perceptions of the person that we're with, which is usually when our traumas get activated. It's never in the beginning of the relationship. It's again once we get comfortable in the relationship. And so, again, we're going to look at the trauma between you and your person. I want to look at why did the trauma happen in the first place? Where did it originate from? Why did it happen? Meaning, how did it get activated? And what needs to happen to heal? And what each sign, meaning what each individual person needs to do to heal. Now, the cards have been pretty much heavily shuffled, but I always like to get my energy again through the cards, like for you guys to see that. And I like to clear the energy with really fast, just one or two strokes of a singing bowl is enough to clear the energy off the cards. Okay. So again, we are going to just look at the energy between you and your person, the trauma. What trauma has erupted between you and your person? Mhm. Stuck. And that's again, maybe you guys feel stuck within your relationship. Maybe one person wants to move forward, the other person doesn't want to move forward. One person might have a commitment issue, and the other person wants to move forward in their relationship. Stuck usually means we're in a Mexican standstill. No one wants to change. No one wants to be. And this happens a lot of times after, people have been in relationships for a long time because our needs change over time. How we start a relationship is not how we continue in the relationship. A lot of times if you're an individual person, you're meeting new people, you're learning new things, you're changing. Or maybe you met somebody when before you had children, and once you have children you're not the same person. So it's again our wants and our needs change. And if we didn't communicate well when we were dating, when we first met the relationship, again, and part of communicating is setting appropriate boundaries, is we have to teach people to respect us. We have to teach people how we want to be treated. And that's how we're treating ourselves. And that's actually how we set boundaries. And if we don't do that, we will run into problems later on within our relationship where we feel stuck. Because again, both parties don't want the same thing, or they might want the same thing, but they don't want it in the same timing, or they don't want it done the same way. We'll know more once a few other cards come out. The next question is why did this trauma happen? And so again, we know that all traumas tend to happen because of past experiences that we had. Again, that's what happens. We go through an experience that we're traumatized and we don't learn the lesson. So, and when you don't learn a spiritual lesson, it keeps happening over and over again. Whoops, I got some of these cards that just flew out of my deck. And we're just going to pull from the bottom. Deluded. So again, if I'm stuck, it's mainly because I didn't set boundaries again. And what is the trauma? The trauma is deluded. Maybe it's again, I thought that my relationship was stronger than it was. I thought we had a good relationship. I thought I did set appropriate boundaries. A lot of times, we feel that we are on good terms with someone. A lot of times we feel that a person's going to react a certain way and then they don't react that way. So deluded just means in this way that, like, it means crazy, but a lot of times when we have traumas and when we are stuck, again, it's people do think that we're crazy because they're saying, didn't you know who this person was when you first got together with them? Why are you trying to change them now? We can't change people. It's again, people might bend, they might change a little bit, but you can't force a person to change. Now, love does change people, but those people are changing because they want to. You're not persuading them to change. There's a difference. And so a lot of times when, if you're stuck in a relationship and you feel like your relationship isn't moving forward, you might have been the person that was really pushing your relationship forward the whole time. And the person was kind of going along with it and you weren't really seeing it. So it's again, that would be would cause definitely a trauma, again, make you feel abandoned, awaken something from again the past. You might feel like this is a regular occurrence within your relationships, and that would mean it's because you're giving too much time. You're again not letting that person come to you instead of you going to them and trying to create the relationship. Now, it's again, what needs to happen to heal? Now, it's pretty obvious that we know what would need. It's again that people would need to come conscious to exactly what they want within the relationships that both parties need, and they'd have to be honest. Let's see what the cards are going to say. Some of these cards are all different ways. I'm noticing, but again, let's just see. Greedy. So really, it's not that anyone needs to be greedy. It's that people don't need to be greedy with their time. They need to again be stand up for themselves and have appropriate boundaries and be respectful of their needs. But they also need to not be greedy where they only think about themselves. In this content, greedy means want to just care about themselves. They don't want to think about, again, the other person's needs. And that's what is not going to make the relationship get better. It's going to make the relationship worse. The irony is that when we get stuck, and then when we feel like we were tricked or so deluded, or we see that different outcome, we want to hold back. We don't want to give more. We do shut down. That's a normal response. So that you're not going to get what you want from that. So again, if I was doing a predictionary reading, I would say this person isn't going to. You're in a Mexican standstill. Neither person wants to bend. You want it one way, this other person wants it the other way. That's why you're both stuck. You both are deluded when it comes to like thinking that the other person's going to change. It doesn't. It winds up turning into a toxic relationship where it's all about where both of you are only thinking about each other's needs. And that's not what love is about. So let's see what each sign needs to do. Let's put some of these cards to go the correct way. As I'm getting all the energy all over the cards and putting them in the right direction because they were all going in different directions. They flew out, and that's okay. Again, sometimes this means that there's a crazy relationship that someone's watching this that says, oh, my relationship is so turbulent, and the energy is just all over. It's again, everything symbolization, everything in the spiritual realm is all about symbolization. And again, it's the way that spirit speaks to us. So let's see. What does each? So I'm going to pull for him first, for again, your partner, the male in the relationship, or the male figure, I should say, that's in the more dominant male in the relationship. And again, that person's nervous. And a lot of men definitely, due to like their fear of not wanting to be controlled, tend to get fearful and shut down and tend to like and get like do get be very greedy and stingy with their time. It's again because they're very left brained, and there's a sense of, well, I don't want to give too much, but I don't want to give too little. I like this person. There's a lot of, again, mental chatter that's creating this nervousness when we realize that relationships are an unfoldment process, that you can't really mentalize like what you're going to do fully. Like you can't strategize. I should say mentalize. I don't even think that's a word, but we can strategize step by step how our relation is going to go. Otherwise, if we try to do that, we might be seen as very controlling, which is again what normally creates this energy. This energy is because and this energy, because you can't control anyone, and really this energy, because you think that you can control someone, you are deluded. It's like people may bend for a certain amount of time, but then they don't want to do it. And I don't care how much a person is in love with someone, they everybody, there's a need to have some time and some something of their own. It's like eating your same type of food, even if it's your favorite food. If you ate that food all the time 3 days in a row, you get bored of that food. Well, the same thing in a relationship. It's a big difference between having that small bowl of ice cream at the end of the night that you look forward to after a hard, strenuous day of working and eating other foods and interacting with other people, than eating that same ice cream all day long, every single day. We get bored of it. Well, it's the same thing. We have to find balance in our life. And balance comes when we are comfortable in who we are and we allow the other person to be comfortable who they are. And then we find our rhythm, not through us telling the person or trying to manipulate or control. Because again, that's when this energy comes into place. And that's when this nasty energy comes into place. It's like, I don't want to give you anything because I don't want to be controlled. So let's see what the more feminine energy needs to release. Okay. Cycle of life. So family karma is again, maybe you came from a family that was divorced. Maybe you went through a specific time within your life where you saw the effects of you know a couple that, maybe your mother and father, maybe it was your grandparents, maybe an aunt, uncle, neighbor, someone close to you that you saw not get along, and you saw that relationship fall apart. Again, whether it's a divorce, it doesn't need to be our divorce. It could be somebody that we cared about, and then we saw the effects of that divorce. Once that person walked out, or once the marriage fell apart, everyone's life was different. So that's a trauma that that person now, that you might like that person carried around, but you inherited because you care so much about that person. We don't need to go through trauma to inherit trauma, to get the effects of that trauma. It's again, we all we need to do is witness a trauma bad enough for us to be affected. The mind can't tell the difference between imaginary and real, what happened in the past, what happened now, what happened to you, what happened to me. It affected us traumatically. It affected our survival, and our psyche perceives. And that is what creates the negative energy. And that's what prevents us from moving forward because we then carry that energy and we unconsciously mirror those thought patterns and beliefs out within our behaviorisms and our habits. And we then, in doing that, those habits, behaviorisms are usually sabotaging. That's what usually ruins our relationship. So, and so we're carrying around, like, again, cycle of life is like family karma. Like, it's again cycle of life, your family, your past life, your this is something that's recurring, where maybe you feel like every relationship they you get to a certain point and then you get stuck. Or again, maybe you get you trust this person, and what happens is the person then doesn't want to go any further. They get cold feet, they get nervous. And so it's again, the answer would still be the same. And that would be, again, cycle of life means break family karma. So you have to look at what our ancestors did. And our ancestors, they wound up not really having lives of their own. Again, and a lot of it was because of the time period. If our parents and or great parents fought in Vietnam, or what was going on in their environment that they couldn't, or it's again, they weren't taught from a spiritual perception. They were taught more from a physical world perception, which is you get a job, you go out and you meet someone, and you live happily ever after. And that's not really the way of the world. It's not that you can't do those things, but it falls short. And it's when it falls short, again, that a person can't be 100% fulfilling, give someone else, I should say, 100% of their fulfillment. They can't. It's against spiritual law. So when I'm looking at cycle of life, it's like, well, I might have inherited, fear due to my parents' marriage not working out. And so I tend to push the relationship, and that makes this person nervous. That makes the relationship get stuck. That makes this people shut down. And then I feel like I'm a crazy person, or again, that I didn't really know what I had. When meanwhile, your relationship is good, but you're sabotaging it because you're fearful. So, and let's just pull an extra card just for kicks to see what would happen. Oh, let's see what fell out. Oh, clear family karma. And that confirms exactly what I said before about the cycle of life. And usually both parties need to clear this because, again, in soul relationships, whether that's twin flame or just soul mate, karmic wound, mate, again, all these are part of soul family. There's usually a runner and a chaser. And when we are stuck, it's because somebody is, again, wants to run, the other person wants the more committed relationship, and it's reawakening the traumas of their past, whether that's their childhood or whether it's past relationships. So, again, the way that we can break that is by releasing our fear. And we can only release our fears by doing things differently. I hope everyone enjoyed this little segment of the Psychic Soul Healing Oracle system and the spread. Now, if you resonate with this spread and you want to go deeper into the reading, we can do a personal reading. You just need to reach out to me by going to pureenergyhealer.com and either filling out a website inquiry, or you can, find me on Facebook or Instagram, and, we can set up something there. Thanks for listening. And until next time, be true to yourself, love yourself, The kingdom of heaven's inside of you. If you can imagine it, create it. So always be true to yourself. This has been Laura, the voice of truth.